televiewers of Info Television, thanks for joining us once more on your favorite program, Game of Thrones. It's another Tuesday, and we'll be talking about topics that are of great interest in the country today. We'll be focusing on the controversies that is unfolding back there in the littoral region concerning the Port Authority of Douala, how two authorities are fighting for sovereignty. And of course, I will be asking our panelists, is the Cameroonian government in total control of this port? Apart from that, we'll be talking about moral decadence across schools in the country, as recently we've been seeing how students are consuming drugs within school premises all over the national territory, not living out some kind of acts and behavior that are not accepted by the educational family. And of course, this is what we'll be dishing out to you tonight. It is very clear with us that today we have a plethora of panelists, intelligent, well set, and capable to handle these issues as the program unfolds. These are very deep. And of course, with us, we have a doctor. He's no other person than Dr. Moise Mbok, who happens to be a political communicator strategist, and he's with us today, and this particular topic is within his reach. Good evening, and once more, welcome to the program tonight.
Good evening, Phillips. Good evening to our co-panelists. Good evening to the televiewers, and once again, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise Mbok. Thank you very much for being with us. And I want to believe that during this program, or in the course of this program, you're going to dish out what you know concerning this stuff, because you are highly filled with a lot of information in relation to these two topics of today. Of course, we have with us Barrister Dr. Michael Lekelefaka. Good evening, and welcome once more to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Enchi. Good evening, Barrister. Doctor, yet if it maybe it is a profession which I claim, but it's barrister for now. Thank you for the invitation, and it's good evening to fellow viewers of Info Television.
Thank you very much, Barrister Lekelefaka Michael. You are a barrister at law also. And with us, apart from him, we have a local development expert who also happens to be a decentralization expert. He's not a person than Changvi Roosevelt. Good evening, and welcome once more to this prestigious set.
Good evening, Phillips. Good evening to all my co-panelists. Good evening to all the wonderful televiewers of Info TV. It's always a pleasure to be here to, talk on very important issues that are plaguing our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to believe that with your presence, intelligence, and know-how, you're going to dish out to Cameroonians what they're expecting of you during in the course of this program. Of course, I just want to remind you that the numbers on your screens are the leeway for you to get in contact with us. Give us your own messages, send us your own opinions, and we will read them, and of course, we will deliberate on this very program. But before we dive directly to what we have for you as delicacy tonight, let's do have this transition, and we'll be back in a jiffy. If you're just joining us, this is Info Television in Yaoundé, and our program Game of Thrones. We dive directly to what we have for you today. As the first topic, we'll be talking about the controversies that is unfolding back there in Douala, particularly the Douala Port Authority, as of course the authority that is manning this enterprise or company in the littoral region of Cameroon, of course, who happens to be the general manager of this Port Authority in Cyrus, happens to be somebody that is making wave right now across the country, as a decision came from the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Goutem, calling on the boss of this port to not to continue with a contract of Transatlantic DSA. This, of course, is a company that is involved in the scanning of containers within the Port Authority. And, of course, this company has been there or is coming up. Meanwhile, of course, SGS, who happens to be Société Générale de Surveillance, was the company that was there recently to man this same position. And recently, this information came from the PM saying that the SGS ought to continue with works ongoing back there in this port. Meanwhile, the boss of the Port Authority of Douala had to decline this authority, saying that Transatlantic D had to continue because of the fact that SGS contract expired. But the Prime Minister had to say the contract ought to continue right up to 2032. Notwithstanding, same information came from the presidency of Cameroon, who happens to be the Secretary General of the presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, who happens to back this same authority of Transatlantic D to continue with activities back there in the Port Authority of Douala. But the Minister of Finance, Louis Mutazi, had to come up and say and align with the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, saying that these issue ought to continue with SGS back there. And of course, it has created a lot of problems as Cameroonians are asking who actually is in control when it concerns decisions in the country. Is it the Prime Minister? Is it his subordinate, who happens to be the Minister of Finance, Louis Mutazi? Or is it the Secretary General at the presidency? That is what, of course, we'll be asking. I'll put this into you, Dr. Moise Mbok, who happens to be a political communication strategist. When you see authority being diverse in opinion, authority are contradicting, decisions are not respected by the head of government, President Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, do you think that there is something fishy that is happening back there in the Port Authority of Douala between these authorities?
In fact, when a normal professional situation becomes an event and something they must showcase, it means there is an iniquity somewhere. There is something that is bizarre, as they say in French. There's something that we need to, you know, put attention, because to take a normal situation and to bring it on the stage in the front of the whole world, just as if it's a problem, is hiding something, and we know what is happening with time. The truth is that the state is the owner of that port, autonomous of Douala. The state is the owner. But there is a management, there is a general manager and his team leading the port as the state ordered them to do. On their head, there is a committee, they call Conseil d'administration, Board of Administrators. There is a board between the GM and the government. Now, on top there, you have two ministers or ministries, the financial one and the technical one. And on the line, what is happening is that when the GM have already received from the board his assignment, he had to do his work. And to handle SGS and others is the work of the GM. It's his work. It's his duty to choose even the partners you have to work with. The problem is that the government signed a contract with SGS in 2015. We don't know what happened, but the contract, as they say, started be operating 2022. So we have 7 years. We don't know what happened during the 7 years. But what they are saying is that by authority, and that's the Minister of Transport, by authority, this contract will get into 2032. So 10 years more. Now, the GM of Port is asking the question that what is happening? Is there anything I don't understand? They say, I don't know. They say, hey, shut up. We are your bosses, and you obey. The problem is that the man is saying, I will not obey nonsense. I will not obey confusion. For me, it's a professional problem they could have handled in a different way.
Now, Dr. Moise Mbok, when you say, I will not accept confusion,
yeah,
where is the confusion stemming from?
The confusion is that the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Transport is supposed to send instructions to the board, and it's the board that can change the map of the general manager. It's not the ministry or the ministers. It's not their work. It's not their duty. You know, when things are aligned, it's not because you are stronger that you will come and put things in disorder and believe that because you are strong, you have to force things.
Dr. Moise Mbok, this decision came out after the declaration of the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, aligning to the fact that SGS ought to continue with the scanning procedure or the scanning services back there in the Port Authority of Douala. Now, don't you think that they were accepting or they were respecting their boss not contradicting whosoever, of course, wants to come in with information that does not align with government's actions.
The problem is that they brought the Prime Minister in after they have done already their things. So the Prime Minister is trying to solve a wrong problem. It's not a problem you have to bring on the stage like that. Trying to show that the DG is, is a stubborn guy, is trying to disturb, maybe have an interest with transatlantic, he want to put edges aside. There is something wrong somewhere, and they want to hide it. Because they want to hide it, they want to force the contract. And the general manager, he knows that in case something is wrong on his sphere of work, they will look bad for him. And he's trying to show to Cameroonians that there is something that tomorrow you will discover, I'm not the one. They did it. And they want to hide it. That's why they behave the way they are behaving. So they did everything they wanted to do. They tried to force the way they wanted to force. The thing even reached the presidency. And it's after all of that that they are bringing the PM in. It's too late. The proof is that the PM have said it. What is happening now in Douala? The two are working. The two are there working because they have signed already for transatlantic. The government is saying that we are the one that signed the contract of SGS. So the two are there. But why are they not able to sort this matter as mature men, as authorities, for the good of Cameroon? They are behaving as if they are working for their own good. And, all these things, even if they are right in their will, the methods they are using are very bad. And that's where the problem lies.
Dr. Moise Mboka, the Director General of the Support Authority, of course, happens to be appointed by the government of Cameroon, and meaning that whatsoever decisions that he's taking ought to be in line with President Paul Biya's decision. Appointed by the President of the Republic. Of course, voila. So now, when you look at the situation presently, the head of government, Chief Dr. Joseph Gonjeon Kuti, had to affirm that the SGS ought to continue with the scanning of containers back there. Now, meaning that if you are still manning that position, it means you are vicariously liable for whatsoever situation that ought to, maybe unfold back there in the port. But right now, you are taking a stand as the Director General of this port authority. You are taking a personal stand. Who is backing this Director General, talking about Cyrus, to maintain a decision that Transatlantic D ought to continue because of the fact that SGS contracts had terminated?
You said it all. The contract of SGS is terminated.
That is what he said.
He said it because he has proofs on his table. If the contract is not terminated, I believe the government should have behaved as, leaders. That, hey, listen, this was supposed to be terminated today, but because of this, because of that, we charge the board to put the new terms in the new contract, and then they will continue. In this country, we have to respect the work of others. In this country, the minister is not God. Even the president is not God. All of us are working where we are for the good of this country. So if I don't respect you as a journalist, what am I doing here? And it's the same thing in the government. If you are a minister, you have to respect your colleague. You have to respect the people under you, the general managers and others. And this is one thing we were talking when we were in an electoral campaign about the behaviors of our leaders. The way they behave as if they are more than others. How do you call it? Give me a proper word.
Do you think that...
please, it's important for us. Yes. Give me a proper word. Arrogance. This arrogance, thank you. I heard it in your spirit. Arrogance. Behaving as if what we say can destroy the assignment you have. It's not right. In a normal country, we have to respect everybody. And for me, it starts there. They despise the board. They despise the general manager. They took decisions without asking them or without telling them why. And this is where the problem lies. Because if the GM can say it's terminated, and the minister says it's not. What happened in between? Lack of communication. Let's talk simply. It's lack of communication. And something must be wrong somewhere. And the GM is not like, I will expose everything to the world. He's trying to cover something. So for me, they bring the president, they bring the prime minister, they bring whoever they want. If they don't follow the procedures, me, as general manager, I will have a reserve.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise Mbok, for such an elaboration tonight. I'll come to you, Barrister Lekelefak Michael, a barrister at law. You come to see that when Dr. Moise Mbok is speaking, it's like there is a power tussle between some other authority and some other authority. Now tell us, you come to recover that in the authority, Port Authority of Douala, we have a boss that is managing affairs back there. And unfortunately, all of a sudden, we see him taking decisions that does not work well or sit well in the ears of the head of government, the Prime Minister. And of course, he was being backed by the Secretary General at the Presidency, meaning the Secretary General at the Presidency is very close to the head of state, President Paul Biya. Now, do you think that in case the Prime Minister decisions are not being respected, these board or these boss of the Douala Port Authority will not be vicariously liable in case of any situation as a barrister at law?
I think everything, your question, Mr. Enchi, is if the law does not only go with, the facts are there. Both of them. I think, like Doctor was rightly explaining, the issue of the application of the law. There is a general manager who is appointed. There is a government who is working with on the part of the government, saying that it is my property and you are simply my agent.
Barrister, there was no word that linked to any issue of property, meaning.
No, what I'm trying to say here is I'm trying to interpret.
Yeah.
Because those who are watching us might misquote you.
The port authority is the property of the Republic of Cameroon.
Yeah.
It is not. It is an institution of the Republic, and that is why the appointment, the general manager is appointed by the President of the Republic.
Yeah.
And the Ministry of the Supervisory Ministry,
the Transport
Ministry
and
of
Finance,
Finance, these are all state institutions.
Exactly.
Today, what we are living there, Mr. Enchi, is regrettable, but on my part, I think because we have made lawlessness the rule in our country, it gives the leeway that we can have all these things that we are experiencing.
So who is practicing lawlessness now?
Lawlessness is on both camps. When I say it is on both camps,
I agree with you.
Because the general manager, if he doesn't have the competence, if the first SGS was not contacted by him, it means the powers to choose the powers to choose the
transatlantic deal,
the contract to choose the partner does not. It is not within the confines. From my interpretation of the scenario, it means that the powers to choose the partners is not within his competence, perhaps going by the way of the Prime Minister.
But it's not true. It's within his competence.
No, so now,
that's the thing.
So now, if the Prime Minister is the team of the Prime Minister is holding that we have to the Port Authority has to continue with SGS, but whereas the general manager, who is the person, the agent on the field, the worker on the ground, who has every facet of the story, has knowledge that no, but this contract has come to the end, and if the supervisory authorities have failed to provide for a different partner, he will not allow to say if to say the port should not be
is he the one, is the GM the one to contract or to manage a contract with any scanning company? Is he the one, does he have that legal standing to engage into any contract with a foreign company?
Mr. Enchi,
on behalf of the state of Cameroon?
Mr. Enchi, when I talk about lawlessness, that question you are asking will go with respect to, you will give a clue to the answer. When we don't, if we want to appoint a general manager, we don't appoint because he is my brother, he is from this particular place, but we appoint with respect to the competence. Yeah. If we are working with in a country which is a country of competence, it means that even if the general manager may not have the direct leeway to choose to contract, to enter into a contract with any foreign partner, the general manager, with respect to the vision of the institution, can at least opine that from what we have, from the vision we have for this institution, with respect to the partners who have applied, we think that this one is better placed to meet with the target, with our target, which means the general manager cannot be kept out of the partners we want to choose for him to work with. You cannot come to Info Television and bring a journalist or bring some other person without looking into that this person understands the vision of Info Television, just because we want to impose. No, we should keep out choosing people for in place. When it comes to management, I think give the manager the leeway, then hold him accountable for his or her shortcomings. But you discover that when I talk about lawlessness, for how many years today we have a lot of general managers who, in parastatals, whose term of office have long been terminated
long ago.
But they are there because of what? Because the president doesn't see it important to say that what are we doing with our governance? Because governance is not only to say we have this, we are carrying this vision, but the personnel, we should equally be looking at how, if a different person perhaps was there as a general manager, if his own contract has come to an end and that a different person.
That position is an appointment. Yes, it's not based on election.
An appointment. When I'm talking about appointment, but there is a term of office for managers or parastatals.
Yes.
So if a different person was in that place, perhaps you have a different vision, which would not be with the different.
So you are telling us that Angosaros has overdue his
when
position.
The state institutions today, I have said it and I will still repeat it, Mr. Enchi. You go to a ministry, ministries have been appropriated, just like other institutions, parastatals have been appropriated. Is it something that we should be debating here? When somebody is in an office for more than 10 years, what are we?
Barrister, meaning you are telling Cameroonians that the decision that is coming from the general manager cannot be valid because of the fact that he has overdue to stay there.
What I'm saying here is that the governance itself is a fair governance, and so we should not hold this particular case as if this is the only case. Yeah. We have the only thing we have in Cameroon that the Bias regime is capable to maintain unity. To maintain unity in the whole in its team is when they are going for elections, as they will call for election. There may be a legislative and
local elections.
You will see unity in order to see how they secure their victory, whatever manner. But when it comes to governance, which is supposed to be the core of what we are expecting from them, we see all internecine queries everywhere, conflicts everywhere. We are looking at the issue of the Port Authority today. Before the Nations Cup, we had Fekafoot and we had other
Exactly.
The governance is a fair governance. So we should not hold the Port Authority, the general manager of the Port Authority, as if he is doing something extraordinary or we have a fair governance system in the place.
Thank you very much, Barrister Lekelefak Michael. I'll come to you, Nchangvi Roosevelt. You are a local development expert and also an expert in decentralization. It is very obvious that you are also an expert in public finance. Now, you come to discover that based on what is going on the ground, back there in the Port Authority of Douala, information keep reaching us that these two companies, and of course, continue proceeding with the activities as per the SGS, meaning they are proceeding with their scanning duties back there. And Cameroonians are saying that they have been over finance, meaning the penalties or the money that are being imposed on Cameroonians moving their containers from this authority, port authority, is enormous. They are witnessing some kind of a boom in terms of money generated back there. But this money, Cameroonians are saying that it is too much. There's too much of billing back there. Now tell us, don't you think this issue, instead of creating lasting solution at the Port of Authority of Douala, we are still seeing chaos, and chaos that it is being fought by people who are in power?
You have used the right word. Unfortunately, it's total chaos. And it's so sad that a country like ours, we are, seeing such a thing in a mondo vision, like they would say in French. It's really, really unfortunate. Because if you look at the genesis of the problem, it's very simple. The problem is wrong interpretation of the text. Mm-hmm. That is the genesis of the problem that we are having today at the Port Authority in Douala. Wrong interpretation of the text. Because if you look at the contract between the government of Cameroon and SGS that was signed in 2015, it was clearly stipulated there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the Director General didn't really read the contract into the lines, because it stated there that they are signing the contract in 2015, and it will be into effect as of the day when the fourth scanner will be installed at the level of the port. And this fourth scanner was installed, I think, in 2022. So that clause says that the right time that the contract is supposed to start is 2022, meaning that the contract is supposed to run from 2022 to 2030. So that is where the genesis of the problem came in. Now, in 2025, which was last year, the problem started, the genesis it was kind of going through a gestation stage, and finally brought to light on the 5th of January this year, when the DG decided to unilaterally, cancel the contract between SGS and the government of Cameroon. And that is where it erupted into a total scandal, wherein we had the Minister of Finance, who came in just to remind the Director General that they should look at the text. It's because I have the impression that the Director General did not really read that contract very well. It may not be in our favor. But
he was working out of emotions.
Well, I don't know if he was out of emotions. I mean, of course, we are talking of sovereignty.
If you allow me, there is something I want to add on what you are saying. The truth is that in the addenda of the contract, they gave SGS 10 months. It was not open. Mm-hmm. It was 10 months. In that 2015, they had 10 months to complete the fourth scanner. They did it, but after 10 months, because they sent a letter in 2016 to the general manager of Sirius Ngo. It was already overdue. That's the problem. That's where it starts. So Sirius Ngo didn't stood and just refused to follow the rules of the law. And that information, they're hiding it. They were supposed to bring it out for the GM to explain himself. Mm-hmm. Why are you saying that the contract cannot continue with SGS? It shows then that they had 10 months to complete. And they didn't do that within these 10 months. They came after the 10 months. And those people want to hide it. And they just want to behave as if SGS came in 2022. No, they came before. SGS is a huge structure.
Of course.
Very strong and powerful all over the world. They are strong ones. But this disorder, and I agree with him, the governance is very weak. Because of that weakness, the SGS continue to operate. So they were supposed to stop at 2017 because they didn't respect the time. But they allowed them to work. Why did those people trying to behave as if Cameroonians are stupid or fool? I appreciate the attitude of the Minister of Finance. He behaved like a father, you know, solve this problem. The Minister of Transport saying we have to do it by force. And it's not normal. I want to conclude by saying this. Transatlantic is not a new company. It's a Cameroonian structure working in Kribi since 2019. It's not a new structure. So the GM of Port of Douala thought that, okay, these ones are no more doing the work. And the truth is that they are not doing the full work. Transatlantic is doing the full work.
When you talk about the full work, what are you implying?
They are not doing only scanner, like SGS is doing scanner. They're doing other services, because what the PM is saying is that give SGS this part and Transatlantic the other part. The services that are doing more than SGS in the country, because abroad SGS is very huge, but here in Cameroon it's only scanning. So there is something they could have handled in a different way. They should not bring it on the table and create havoc like this.
You have the floor.
Of course, and as I was saying, this anarchy has, given us a terrible image. I mean, like, I think last time we were talking about promoting the image of the nation, giving a true and trust, creating, some trust in front of our investors, because that is one of the things that you need to succeed in business. I need to know that if I'm coming to invest in Cameroon, this infrastructure that has been put in place for my business is going to permit me to do my business freely. But now when you look at all this catastrophe, it discourages foreign investment. Of course, all of these issues have a multiplier effect on business within the nation. Because I tell you, since the beginning of this year, containers have been stocked at the level of the port. I mean, what happens to the businessman who had already, concluded with a partner that I'm going to be supplying you these goods on this and this day? Because when he does his calculation, he sees that, okay, my goods will arrive at the port on this day, I have this number of days to clear them and so on. But now, unfortunately, because of this saga, there has been delay at the level of the port, and some business operators have been obliged to pay for the delay that their containers have spent at the level of the port, which is not their fault directly. So you see how terrible the effect of this saga is causing to businesses in Cameroon.
The Minister of Finance is saying that there is too much of overbilling, or there is overbilling at the port. What's your take on that?
Well, for now, I don't have any proof to conclude on that aspect of overbilling. But what I can say,
due to the fact that the two companies are working in synergy now, they are performing the same activities.
It was not supposed to be the case, and that is why I say there is some anarchy. The head of government has, concluded the file by saying that they should SGS should continue, and that the Director General of the port should hold a meeting with SGS in the coming days so that work should flow. But unfortunately, we get rumors that it's like some gendarmes or military officers were sent to the port and removed, uninstalled the material of SGS and all the like. I mean, when you get such, it creates anarchy. It creates panic in a nation which is already fragilized. And that is where the problem is. Everybody now thinks, okay, if such a thing can happen, it means that, okay, me too, I should go ahead and do as I wish. So I think that is where we have all the major issues concerning this matter.
Thank you very much, Changvi Aozovet, local development expert. Somebody is writing us here without any location, and the person is telling us that respect of the law is very important. Respect of the law is the key. Who has failed to respect the law? You are asking a question. Who has failed to respect the law? I put it to you, Barrister Alekelefaka Mike. Do you think that somebody along the line failed to respect the rules and regulation implemented by the authority that be, and today chaos is existing?
Both parties have failed to respect the laws. If the contract on the part of the state, if the state has been following up its regalian duties to see how the evolution of activities are going on at the level of the poor, I think this problem would have long been anticipated and it may be addressed before we come to this point. On the part of the port authority, the general manager, if the general manager is going to contract with a partner which is not within his competence, from when you look at the side of the contracting partners, the state saying that we are the one who choose the partner to go to the port, so you cannot terminate his contract. It means on his own part too, he is not respecting the authorities which have put him there. So you see that on talking about the respect of the law, it's on both camps. So it's on both camps. So that is why I say the governance is a problem. The only thing we have when you see is elections. In elections, we don't see dispute.
Thank you.
After elections, dispute surface.
Yeah, you have something to say.
Yeah, I think this issue of respect of the law is primordial. No matter what, procedures need to be respected. Hierarchy needs to be respected. And at some point, we have seen it in the past that this issue of not respecting the law, not respecting the text, not respecting contracts that we ourselves signed.
The terms of contracts.
The terms of contracts that we ourselves signed has cost the government of Cameroon a lot of money in the past. And it's still the same issue that we're about to see right now. Because following the contract, and if the DJ is actually or wanted to unilaterally, you know, how can I say, sideline the government or terminate the contract.
He wanted to promote a Cameroonian company.
Wait, let me finish. He wanted, you know, to terminate the contract unilaterally. Of course, what is the cost to the government? The cost to the government is that the SGS, they will definitely sue us. And when they sue us, we have a lot of money to pay for that. We have seen it with Fekafoot and coaches that have been, you know, the contracts terminated well ahead, before time, and we find ourselves paying a lot of money. So it's in a way of, you know, trying to respect the law in order to reduce wasteful spending. Of course, you are talking about sovereignty, but of course, in sovereignty, we should do things the right way. We should follow procedure. And when a member of government, of course, the Prime Minister is the head of government. Article 12 of the Constitution makes it very clear. He is the one in charge of implementing all the laws in the country. So if he has decided on something, it should be so. Whether you like it or not, it should be so that order should reign.
Thank you very much, Roosevelt Achangvi. I just want to come to you, Dr. Moise Mbok. You come to discover that the Secretary General at the presidency, who happens to be Ferdinand Ngongo, had to sideline with Ngosirus at the Port Authority of Douala. This is a clear indication that this authority or decision is stemming directly from President Paul Biya. Now we see how the Prime Minister, head of government, also is chipping out something, telling Cameroonians that, look, this contract ought to extend right up to 2032. Now, do you think there is a vacuum of power? Do you think that the authority that we know as the #1 person in Cameroon, actually the decisions that is coming from the Secretary General at the presidency actually came from President Paul Biya, and the other authorities set aside or put in place by President Paul Biya are contradicting what he's saying?
No, for me, I think they are not saying the truth to the president. Because we saw him take charge. We saw him on campaign. He's the president of the country. He made a speech on the 31st of last year. We saw him talking. So it's not like...
Now, do you think that the decisions from the Secretary General at the presidency ought to override that of the Prime Minister?
No, I'm saying that they never brought the truth to the presidency. Because of what? In the functioning, the GM brings the report to his board. His board brings his report to the Minister of Transport. The Minister of Transport sent it to the presidency, not to the PM, to the presidency. The PM have nothing to do in the process. But because of there's a market, okay, it's an authority, it's the authority of markets in the country. The PM can be involved to solve a matter. But the problem is that they're not saying the truth.
So you are telling us that at this moment, at this point in time, the decision coming from the Prime Minister saying that SGS or to continue with the scanning procedure or the processing in the Port Authority of Douala should be aborted?
No. For me, the PM, as I was saying, the PM spoke to solve the problem, and he did it as a father. How? He said SGS will continue on scanning what they are doing, but since Transatlantic is going into maintenance and others, he will continue. Both will work. He never said that Transatlantic should stop. No. He said both must work. But the GM must work with them and see where they can put Transatlantic.
But they are complaining.
But for me,
people
my
are
problem is that
business people are complaining that there is some.
That's where the problem is.
Double payment.
They are not saying the truth to the president. Because as a president, when something is wrong and your people are suffering, you take measures. And I don't understand why in our country it's only people talking for the president. What is happening in this country?
Meaning they are taking decisions.
Yes.
And
now people are doubting. People are doubting.
The high instruction.
People are doubting.
The very high instruction of President.
Yes,
Sophia.
people are doubting. At times when something is hot, as a president, come out and talk. And you see, if these people will not obey. The truth is that they know that at times maybe this thing is not really the president talking. Maybe it's a business going on somewhere. We don't know. And now they're doubting.
Now, are you telling us that information was fabricated?
For me, the highest
coming directly from President Paul.
For me, I don't know if it's coming directly. For me, the highest authority that spoke on this matter, as far as is concerned now, is the PM. Because at least we saw the meeting in his office, we saw his secretary send a communique. So for the PM, we saw something that we can trust on.
Something concrete. Concrete.
But in the presidency, there was a meeting. The Minister of State was not there. One is Avasa that was there. They had a meeting.
The general.
But for me, not even the general, because
he came out with
another city
came out with a communique.
Consultant Nick Ayem is, I think, is the one that was in charge, well known, high professional. That one, no doubt about it. Now the general came with another communique. Those are two communiques from the presidency. That's why for me, there I'm doubting. For me, I asked the president to come and talk. We don't agree with this president talking only the 10th of January, talking only at the 31st. Please come and talk to Cameroonians.
And clear the air.
And you see that now when something is coming from the presidency, people are doubting. It's not normal. And you should solve it. And this is another proof, because some other problems came in the same way. Fekafoot, as he was saying, until Samuel Eto'o say, I will not obey this thing. And we saw that finally it was right. So if the GM of Port Autonome is doing the same thing, don't blame him. It's something that is going on abnormally in this country, and we must stop it. Now, let me come back quickly on what people are afraid of. We are afraid of stopping a contract and say they will sue us. Hey, seriously, go have an experience with Bolloré, and he won it in France. So, if he says that I will stop this thing, he knows what he's talking about. Let's trust him. For that one, if Sarasungo is saying no, I think Baisa says somehow we must trust him, because he knows what he's doing there. If he said that we should stop it, they brought an expertise to prove that SGS was wrong. He never respected his part of the contract. He cannot sue us. He said it. He brought an expertise. When he's talking the way he's talking now, he knows that he can stand this process and win it. He knows it. But the problem is not there. The governance must come alive, because it's dormant. It's sleeping. It's weak.
Thank you.
It must come alive. That's his first one. The second one, all the problems we have in this country, because our president is silent. The day he will start to say, we don't ask him to come and walk all over Yaoundé and go into ministry. He should talk in his office. At least Cameroonians must hear instructions from him to know that the country is ruled. Because this question is still keep on coming. Is the country ruled? Is there any boss on the country? It's becoming ridiculous for us all over the world, and he should stop it. So this thing came for him to remember that the 6th of November, he said that I've heard your tears, your cries, and everything you were complaining about. And I decided to change things. It's not changing anything for now. And we want him to change things.
Thank you.
For peace to come definitely in this country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise Mbok. Of course, I'll read some of the messages coming from Cameroonians. There are a lot of them. My brothers, this disorder results first from the change of our country's constitution. So anyone can change whatsoever he wants. There was of it... of course, the president is, that was what he's saying, that the president is tired. I just want to summarize it because it's so long. The president is tired. So it is his mistake that this disorder is existing. That is what you are telling us, Angong Victor. That is what you're telling us, Angong Victor. And there are people writing also. So many messages are coming in. This is somebody writing us from France. Good evening, dear panelists. It's a pleasure for me to watch your program again this very day. I just want to say that the government of Cameroon ought to be very transparent when it comes to laws. I just want to call on the authority, that be particularly President Pobia, to talk to Cameroonians, because Cameroonians wants his voice. Cameroonian wants to see him live speaking when there is a disorder. That is somebody writing us from France. The messages are so many of them. We continue with this one. This is a barrister at law writing us from the southwest with no name. He's just telling us barrister at law. Good evening, dear panelists. I love your program, and this topic is a very sensitive topic. The Port Authority of Douala and the government of Cameroon, we don't know actually what they are fighting for, but the thing is, it is very clear. It is very clear to us as lawyers or legal minds. What we want to make them to understand is that they should come up with a clear document that shows the termination of the SGS contract and the origin of a transatlantic G's contract. So that is what a barrister at law is writing us from the southwest region in Cameroon.
And it's true. Of course, they are not showing anything, any document. It's true what he's saying. They must show documents.
Yeah. Okay, we continue again with some of the information. Is somebody writing us from Canada. Good evening, dear panelists. I keep watching your program each time, even on YouTube. I follow you on YouTube and Facebook. Good evening to Dr. Moise Mbok for your wonderful elaboration. Good evening to the local development expert. This is my first time of seeing you on set. Thanks for your elaboration. My contribution goes thus. I want the state of Cameroon to come out with a clear contract to tell Cameroonians actually what is going on within the port of Douala. When we see a managing director taking a stance, it means there is a problem. If we see a managing director contradicting the information or the decision from the Prime Minister, it means there is a problem. We need to investigate this matter. Of course, the messages are so many. Please, if you're writing us, be very brief and make it very clear. Barrister Lekelefaka Mike, you see how Cameroonians, of course, are reacting all over the world and asking questions. They want transparency. Do you think something needs to be done? Because we are gearing towards the end of this first phase of the program.
Of course. The problem we have is, like I said, we have, Dr. Mbok said it, the president should come up, because we have built a country which is based on a single person, the president of the republic. And you see that most of the internecine fights we have in our government is due to, in our governance system, is due to proximity with the presidency of the republic. And so, since he has created that, that atmosphere that people can only react based on their proximity to him, their closeness to him, he should now come up, because all these people are his appointees, and they are working for a vision which is defined by him. So he should certainly come up, if he is still up to the task, to tell Cameroonians, I am there. If not, he becomes a ceremonial figure in our country today. Thank you very much,
Barrister Lekelefaka Michael. I come to you before coming to you, Dr. Moise Mbok. I know you have a lot to say when it concerns this issue. You're really filled with information. I come to you, the local development expert. Cameroonians abroad are appreciating your outings. They know that you are a financial expert, and they are happy to see you on set today. We see issues that are unfolding back there in Douala, and Cameroonians Cameroonians are, what actually do you think will be the final solutions to this problem? Do you think that Cyrus Ngo happens to be the general manager or the director general of this port ought to be subjected to the decisions of the Prime Minister, or the Prime Minister ought to respect what is coming from the Secretary General at the presidency?
Well, we are in a republic, and of course, in any republic, there's some order. So the Prime Minister, from the last meeting they had, he made it clear that the Director General, Mr. Cyrus Ngo, should hold meetings. And I think before coming here, I saw a communique to that effect, a write-up to that effect that says he is going to be holding a meeting with SGS and Transatlantic in the coming days. So I think let's be hopeful and wait and see and hope that that agreement between the two institutions is going to solve this problem once and for all. And Cameroonians are going to, you know, continue with their businesses, because I tell you, it has a devastating effect on business in Cameroon. Terrible one.
Thank you very much, Chang V. Roosevelt, for such an edification. Of course, I come to you, Dr. Moise Mbok. You have a lot to say. Tell us, Doctor. Cameroonians, of course, want solution. They want lasting solution. They want to see how they can send their goods to Cameroon and, of course, get in contact with them without any problem, and also maybe with a minimum billing. But today we are seeing how the two companies are overbilling Cameroonians who are trying to retrieve their goods from the Port Authority of Douala. Now tell us, this tussle, power tussle, do you think that the government, the head of government, Chief Dr. Joseph Ntongute, should be subjected to the Secretary General at the presidency, or these two authorities ought to respect the decisions coming from the Prime Minister, saying that SGS ought to continue with its contract right up to 2032?
I will be sincere with you. I don't force on anything that came from the presidency on this matter. So there's nothing from the presidency. That's for me. Only the PM now. And I mean, you just said it. What the PM says is already under effect. It's already working. What the so-called presidency said, nothing is working on that line. It means that nothing has been said from there. And that's where the problem lies.
So you're telling Cameroonians that all the information that always is under the very high instruction of the President of the Republic are not, should be, of course, verified.
Thank God.
That's what you're saying, that should be verified.
Thank God we are talking only about this matter. And thank God again, there's no high instruction on this matter. I never saw a right instruction from Minister Ngongo. On this matter, I just saw the general saying something, not Minister Ngongo. So let's leave that man alone. He has a lot of problems to solve. Let him solve his problems. Let us stand with the PM. That shows us a way, and it seems to work. It means that we have to congratulate our PM for, because that is the first thing he did, like I'm standing as a PM. He used to run away. He used to be too diplomatic. Go and do this. Mr. Minister, go and do that. Today we saw a PM saying, stop this nonsense and let us solve this matter. And what he says, it was what the general manager wanted, what the ministers wanted. He brought all of them on the table. That's why I'm saying that he's talking as a father. And what he says can be accepted, because the general manager now is not ridiculous, because he already signed something with a partner. They will not cast him away. They will find a solution. SGS maybe have his right somewhere that they only know. They will sit together, fix the thing, and then continue. But it shows that the authority on this matter is the general manager, not the Minister of Transport or the Minfi. They could have sent the meeting there. Why are they sending the meeting to Cyrus Ngongo? Because he's the one in charge on that matter. And this disorder must stop. There is no shame to recognize that as a father, I cannot clean the floor, but I can send my son or my daughter to clean the floor. But I'm still the father. Why our ministers used to think that what they have said, they cannot be wrong. They cannot correct them. They are human beings. They can have mistakes, and I must correct them. And a solution, if our pa is saying that you don't want to talk to us,
who are you referring to?
Paul Biya.
Okay.
he can appoint a minister in charge of communicating his wills. It's done in the US. When Donald Trump wants to speak, there is a porte-parole that comes, and all the country knows that when she comes and talk, is Trump talking.
They will have the Ministry of Communication in Cameroon.
The last time he spoke was when? Even in this matter, what did he say? Please. For us, he must appoint somebody else in the presidency that will talk on his behalf in such a way that we know that when this one come and talk, at times he will be there himself to prove people that I'm the one that sent him. He must create something that will bring peace to Cameroonians, because those who voted him want to see him in power and leading the country. If he's not in his habit to talk to people, okay, fine. He must find a solution and definitely stop these high instructions, stop this, the presidency says, and it's only on the air. We can stop it by him appointing somebody that will speak on his behalf.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise.
And the Minister of Communication can still do that.
I just wanted to add that from a legal standpoint,
a few seconds.
Yes, from a legal standpoint, I have the impression that the Director General himself, every decision that he takes now, and that is this year, will be null and void. Because if you look at the law of 2017 that regulates public establishments and public enterprises, it gives you 9 years as manager of an institution. That is 3 years, renewable twice, that's 9. He has been there since 2016, meaning the mandate expired when? 2025.
Where in Cameroon? Some days since 30 years.
I'm talking from a legal standpoint. I am not talking about the reality, but I'm talking from a legal standpoint. Just to say that he himself, who is insisting, he too should know that from a legal standpoint, he too has some lapses.
Thank you very much, Roosevelt Achongvi. Thank you very much for your presence. Of course, Cameroonians, of course, are digesting whatever thing you're sending out to them. Thank you very much, Barrister Lekelefag Michael, of course, Dr. Maurice Mbok Radam also. And we are coming to the first phase of this program. And of course, the second phase, we'll be talking about moral decadence within a school milieu. And it is no news that Cameroonians' parents, of course, are asking questions. What is happening as videos and information are spreading like wildfire throughout the national territory, most especially on various social media handles, seeing students within school premises taking drugs and proceeding with all kind of immoral activity. This is what, of course, we'll be trashing in the course of the second phase of this program. But before we dive directly to what we have, let's have this transition and get a sip of water, and we'll be back in a moment. Moral decadence within school premises in Cameroon has been a call for concern as Cameroonians are asking questions. What kind of educations are these children getting from various learning institutions across the country? Recently, we see how students are consuming drugs, hard drugs. People keep complaining of the fact that when their kids do leave the houses, they go to school, they do return back home with other attitudes that are not welcomed by our parents. This, of course, is what we'll be discussing in the course of this program. And this issue of moral decadence in the country is really a call for concern. But what is behind this issue? Why are these students subjecting their attitude to such manifestations within school milieus? That is what I will be asking our panelists tonight. I'll comment with you, Achongvi Roosevelt, local development expert. Today we see how young people are getting into learning institutions. Parents are spending huge amount of money to educate their children, sending them to good, well-paid schools, and of course expecting that at the end of the day, when they do return, they will become the person that they are expecting to see in the nearest years to come or in the coming days. But at the end of the day, people keep seeing how students are, of course, indulging themselves into obscene situations, taking drugs. What is not right? Is it the root cause of maybe are they badly brought up, or is there anybody that is maybe connected to this behavior? Is it spiritual?
Well, we can all of it, all of it, because I think the primordial cause is leniency. Yeah, I think parenting has been so lenient in the 21st century as compared to before. I mean, the way parents, you know, handle their kids nowadays is not the way it used to be back then. Before, a child was considered to be the child of the community and not only of that household. But today, if, for example, you happen to be in this neighborhood, you see a kid doing something and you want to reprimand that kid, immediately you see the parent will come out and lash at you effectively immediately. And of course, the next time you won't do it. And we are now in a society where everybody is minding his or her business. Nobody wants to take blame for something or another. That's the first point. Secondly, this issue of morality. Unfortunately, in our society, we have, you know, we have pushed away this aspect of religious studies completely from both from our curriculum, because they will tell you you should have 2 papers without religion, you should have 4 or 5 papers without religion. I mean, when you just make that statement, it tells you that the religious studies that you are doing in school does not help you in any way. And of course, what happens? You don't take it seriously. Of which in our schools, religious studies should be, in fact, to me, it should be considered as one of the core subjects, just as maths, English. Just as maths and English. It should be considered as one of the key subjects.
At one point in time, Roosevelt Changvi, religious studies was not accepted as one of those paper that could provide the leeway to you to various state universities.
Exactly. That is what I was saying. That before they accept you, they will say you should have 2 papers without religious studies. You should have this. So it has discouraged completely that aspect of religion. And you know, in religious studies, we have moral, I think they call it moral integrity or something like that, which is what teaches the students how to be upright in the society. And it goes a long way. We are in a society where people no longer respect the emblems of the country. It still goes in that line. I mean, it's a society which is technology inclined. Before you, the parent, you even want, before you even know something, your kid even knows it more than you. So I think these are some of the causes. We have leniency, we have wrong parenting, we have technology, and so on. Of course, when we talk of parenting, we cannot completely blame it too on the parents.
When you keep talking about technology and leniency, does these things push students, young people, to sit in classrooms and be taking drugs?
Of course, like now. Before, those things used to happen.
Are they influenced by social media?
Yes. Before, those things used to happen. But you wouldn't know because there was no social media at the time. But now, just the fact that they happen and the student takes a video, what happens? The other student in another school sees, okay, I can also do it. But before, it used to happen maybe in a very small scale, but it was not on social media. And the students were unable to see it. Of course, like they say, what you don't know does not kill you. And unfortunately, we are seeing it. It's just like somebody, you know, we see nudes almost every day. It has now become a rampant something. Everybody has nudes on social media. I begin to wonder, why should you be having intercourse with your wife or your husband and snapping in the first place? Not before long, it finds itself on social media. And when the child, unfortunately, we parents do nowadays, the listing we have bought gadgets to, it's like we want to show that we have loved the children. You see a child of 3 years old, the man has a tablet, a phone,
technology has advanced, so, and students do use these gadgets to get in connection with knowledge.
Of course, students do use, and that is even where there's another problem, because in our school milieu, the school milieu is regulated by 2 ministries. The Ministry of Basic Education and that of Secondary Education. And that aspect of technology is not handled by these ministries. Yeah. So you now see that all the ministries should be linked to fight this aspect of moral decadence in schools. The Ministry of Post and Telecommunication should come out with a law, I don't know, maybe a text that says any student, maybe, I don't know, any child less than maybe 15 years old should not even have access to a phone. Not only in class, even at home. It should be a law. I think that law was passed recently in France, that once you are less than 15 years, you should not own a phone.
But why not control the gadget, that making it in such a way that there are special gadgets for secondary and primary school students?
It's difficult. When it comes to technology, it's difficult. You should not even have access to it at all. It reduces the problem. I remember back then when we were in the Northwest, when this issue of internet during the crisis, the government decided, to create a blackout that way. But there were people who still had access to internet.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who still had access to internet. So when it comes to technology, you should better not even have the gadget at all in order to solve the problem in a little way.
Thank you very much, Chong V. Roosevelt. I'll come to you, Barrister Lekelefa Kamaika. You have a lot to say. You are surrounded with youth on daily basis. You connect with them on daily basis. You see them on daily basis. It is very obvious that you are a problem solver towards this direction. Tell us, what is not going right when it concerns this issue of the rise of moral decadence within the school environment? We see students today that are taking, holding cutleries to school, taking cutleries to school. They do maybe use it as arms, as they call it, arm blanche. And at times we do see how fights do erupt between teachers and students. At the end of the day, we see students or teachers find themselves at the hospital. Where is it? In the past, it wasn't like this. Or was it like this in the past and people were maybe not talking about it?
Of course. It's not something which is starting today. It is as old as, I think, the school milieu is. But what is the problem today is the failure of governance to respond to the needs of the changing times. Why do I attribute it to failure of governance? Take, for example, the consumption of drugs today and alcohol. If you move around from a Fulan, just walk around, the number of licenses.
You're talking about beer parlors?
Beer parlors is as many as we can count them, maybe per household, which formerly was not the case. This place, sales points were well restricted. Buying, you could not send a child, a minor, to go to the off license to get a bottle of drink for you. If that was not done, but today we see parents send children who are, minors, to go to get themselves acquainted with these things. Take the issues of drugs today. If we have drugs, what is the policy, the anti-gang we used to that are fighting all these drugs in the society? How is it that today it is very, very rampant? Drugs have become very rampant in the society, whereas we have units which are put in place to fight the drugs in the society. You see that the policies are not perhaps meeting with their objectives.
So when you keep talking about policy, of course, these are young people. They do stem from their houses and they do have parents. Are they not cautioned at home, telling them that these things are dangerous for you to consume?
The caution, the problem is not what you tell the child. By the time that you tell the child something, he or she wants to try to be sure of what he or she had, that is the problem with parenting, because very few, when we talk about it, is only a child who has a sound moral discipline, backup, that will respect, will listen to the advice given to the parents. And even talking about advice today that we are saying, I think Mr. Roosevelt talked about parenting, which is a problem, because how many parents have the time today to follow up their children, to see that this is how my child is evolving? Because of the hardship that they are facing, they are so much focused in trying to make ends meet. And now, on the part of looking, that love between parents and child is not more there.
But there are students, there are parents who do perform their parental roles.
Of course.
Why is it that some of these students or some of these kids do subject themselves into such a moral decadence? Meanwhile, they had a good upbringing. What is happening?
The peer pressure,
is it influence from friends?
The peer pressure may contribute to that, but like I was saying, that when you see that the exposure to drugs, the exposure to the intoxication, like we talk about alcohol. And all the like. These are things that if a child takes something like a bottle or this sachet, they call it what
whiskey. Yes.
These are drugs that when you take, it once you are under the influence of a drug, you can do some other things which you come to regret only after. So that is why I started by saying that the policy, our policies are not responding to the changing times. Talking about what Mr. Robert was saying about the use of gadgets today, it is true that with education today, we are saying about the use of gadgets to facilitate online studies, which is good. But why can we not say that within this age limit, or the programs that we even installed in the phones, because the phones we can have programs can be stored in the phone.
Yeah.
That if we say a class 1 or a primary school student, this is a phone which is we program their phones before dishing them out to them. It will stop them from having access to some website, which will completely solve the problem of their exposure to unnecessary website which may intoxicate their mind. You go further to see that if the moral background, like talking about the education in the past, we had, even if it was not recognized as a paper, but we had moral education and religious in primary school, and in secondary school we had religious studies. But primary school today, I don't think that moral education is still having the same place that it used to occupy in our days. And I think these are things which we have to bring back into our curriculum to make sure that we are building a new citizenry for a nation. And talking about the school milieu, Mr. Enchi, you discover that today there are many schools which are operating illegally, and the schools are not there to accompany as it used to teach as it used to be, but it has become it has become a business.
Thank you.
So the staff itself may not be competent to even do this. So you see that there are a lot of factors which will come back to say that the governance is not responding, is not trying to look adequately into the problems of the changing times.
Thank you very much, Barrister Lekele Faka Mike. Dr. Moise Mboka, today classrooms are invaded with students that are not respecting some of the rules and regulations within the school milieux, and they do take this attitude back home, and today the society is some environment are facing the consequences of some of these actions. Tell us what is behind this.
Weak societies or weak countries are victims. Strong countries prepare themselves. You will never hear these kind of things in China, in Russia, never. Because
North Korea,
I mean that one, because I think to govern is first of all foresee. Those countries, they project themselves into 10 years, 20 years, at times 100 years, that this is what we want to become. They foresee. That's the first thing. The second thing, they can anticipate. Now is their problems. What is on the ground and what can we solve? How are we going to solve these problems? I come to competence, tradition, religion. The know-how to bring all these capacities we have as a country. We don't anticipate. And the third thing is to adapt. We don't fight the problems from the roots. We are only, trying to show that, okay, we are doing something, cosmetic.
Now,
we are not going
Doctor, why you keep insisting on we? Who are you referring to?
I'm talking about the country, all of us. When they say that a Cameroonian is a drunkard,
but
the shame is on all of us.
These children, they do spend part of their times at home and part of their times in school. Now, tell us, don't you think that some parents are shying away from their responsibility because of the fact that they want to gain financial standing, or they are too conscious of the fact that they love their kids too much, showing affection to the extent that they do not want to jeopardize their emotional stability?
Parents have their responsibilities, no doubt about it. But where I'm going is the way we govern our country. Because the policies we are putting in place must respond to all the problems we have in the country. Corruption, poor governance, education, and others. We have to face them sincerely. How are we going to stop corruption when we are playing games? We never stop it. And the way we are handling corruption, we are handling all other spheres of the country the same way. That's why we can have this thing of pad. We can have this thing of fake food. We can have this thing of dustbin. We can name them. A lot of signs that shows that there is a problem somewhere. But many people are still looking on human beings. That is Atanganji, is Kecha Kutes, is Samuel Eto'o. They are not sitting down and think whether to govern.
What about the curriculum?
It's part of the thing.
It's part of governance.
It's part of governance. What I want to say here is that while others are sitting and sincerely facing their problems, let's come to France. They had the same problem. But they say, hey, we need to adapt their phones. As Barista was saying, it's happening already in France. Under 16 years, you cannot log into Facebook and all those things. Impossible from now. It's a law. Because the phone, you as a father, you buy for them, they will ask you the age. And from that age, they know what kind of phone they can give to you for them. And it's programmed already. They are doing it because they are sincere with the policies they are putting in place. In Africa.
But you come to discover that these are young people, they are very curious. At times, they go extra mile to know what is happening in the society.
No. The problem is that our policies are weak. As he was saying, when it comes to the Minister of Postel, to regulate this thing, they will say, okay, maybe it's a contract. How much is that? Who is my best friend here? I will give him the contract. And it's poorly handled. Because there's no vision on the thing. That where we are going, is not only to put on a contract. It's not only to put on a program. It's to reach people and bring out a solution. We want to eradicate this kind of behaviors. They are just on the air. What I want, Phyllis, please, this thing is very serious. What we are saying here is that our leaders must understand once for all that they have the country in their hands. And they must bring out policies that will help the whole country. Not only their pockets, the whole country. Today is education. There are kids, our nephews, they are our own. We are talking like this. Tomorrow, they're the next ministers, they're the next GOs, they're the next whatever. If we don't solve the problem now, tomorrow we will have two problems. Bizarre leaders doing terrible things to human beings and to the country if we don't solve it now. This is education. We can go in all the sectors. Where are we heading to the next 10 years? Where are we going as Cameroon? No one will do that, neither France or US or Russia. Ourselves must sit down and work it out. I'm not saying it. We are just taking measures, having meetings, drinking, water and so on, congratulating ourselves, coming on the TV and say, okay, today we had a wonderful meeting, we're talking about youth. But it ends there because there's no one to represent them, no teacher in that meeting. It's only between them, and nothing is going to the people that are really in need. All the problems we are having in this country are caused by human beings. And human beings can solve them if they are sincere and if they can respect the rules and punish those who are continuing doing funny things. In our days, there were this school they were calling Betamba. That school was for stubborn young girls and young boys. When you want to smoke, You want to go into this rubbish. They say, fine. You want people in the army. But before you get to the army, we bring you where they will train you first. You go to school. You will have sport there. You will sweat. You have energy. They will use your energy. Sport. You walk into farm. You will walk. You spend there 3 years. You become a normal human being. If you insist, they send you into army because they want to make sure you become a normal citizen. There were a vision in those days that we can bring it back. Our problem is not only parents, it's not only those youths, but the policies we are putting in place to bring the country somewhere. Let us sell them hope. Where are we going in 10 years' time? Look at this young boy that is looking his older brother having already his PhD, but he's selling tomatoes in the market. What is his motivation to continue to go to school? Because there's no future. He's not seeing anything ahead. So he's not motivated. For him, the only pleasure is this nonsense. Because in our quartiers, where are the stadiums we used to have for them to play? Where are the places we used to have for those young people to, to enjoy themselves? There's no cinema again. There's nothing for them. I mean, where are the policies we are putting into place? We can blame them. We can do everything. But a part of this internet, what do they have to enjoy themselves? Policies can handle the kind of problems
you're
in the country.
You're talking now due to the absence of recreational centers. That's what you're telling
One
us.
of the things.
Thank you.
In our schools, you need to have bibliothèque. In our days, you used to have it. Libraries. They have to go there, sit down and read. They are not reading. You want to blame them? Why? Everything now, go to internet. Go to internet. The phones are not, I like your word. You said it.
Thank you.
Program. The phones are not program.
Thank you very much.
They will just go after looking Google. They say, okay, and Google know how to suggest images. And from Google, you have a naked image. And from the naked, you have another one. And the other one is another one, and so on. Because they are fast. They are intelligent. But when we don't occupy them rightly, I will end with this last aspect. During holidays, stage, internship was something normal in all the enterprises. It was not something to bribe. It was normal for all the youths. Today is another match. What do we want?
But there are volunteer services that these students can get into.
Where?
They are everywhere.
Where?
Even voluntary service now.
I'm saying that if we are serious, if we are serious in this country,
to work for free.
Yes. But they need your commendation. If we are sincere in this country, those are the things we need to bring back.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise Ambok. I'll come to you, Changvi Roosevelt. What do you think parents ought to do? Because we are coming to the end of this program. We want to have your solution. Wow. What do you think can be the measured solution to curve out these issues? Stopping students, stopping young people to get into this issue of moral decadence and adapting themselves into drugs and committing all sorts of acts that are, of course, against the law of Cameroon.
I think firstly, parents should go closer to their kids. They should learn to know what they like and what they don't like. They should learn to get into their lives, do some sort of a detective work to actually know what is going on in their lives. Because we have said it, the economic situation is quite tough. So parents are busy. They leave at 6, they come back at midnight. They don't meet the students, the kids feel abandoned. But
what about this corporal punishment that was being taken off at the school milieu?
Exactly.
And as parents are now very lenient. And don't you think this has been one of the main reasons why the thing is very rampant?
Very, 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 very. They say spare the rod and spare the rod and spoil the child.
So you are calling on the government to bring back corporal punishment?
Of course, they should bring it back. They should bring it back. Of course.
And I agree with him.
They should bring it back.
Yeah.
Because when he was there, we were not at this level. At least, even if the governance was bad, when there was corporal punishment, it wasn't
of course,
at this level.
A violation against human rights.
Human rights as in beating your own child for doing something wrong? I don't understand. And besides, it's not a military beating. No,
Yeah.
there are sports. Your hands and your buttocks. It's not, you are not fighting with the kid.
Exactly.
You are making the kid to understand that what you have done is wrong, and I don't want you to do it again. And you start from the very basic age, as young as 2-3 years. You should start reprimanding the children so that they should know exactly what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. And at the level of schools, I mean, when it comes to the discipline department, I will suggest that school executives should hire more mature men and women in that department. You know, in schools today, you know, I've been talking about youths and so on. The teachers are very young. That's another thing too. The teachers are very young. So some of the students tend to see the teachers as if they are their mates.
Yeah.
I tell you, some students have the courage to ask their teachers out, female teachers out.
You're talking the boys
asking, the boys, yes, the boys asking, of course, with their teachers.
Passionate relationship.
Exactly.
Even the girls.
Even the girls. You see them sitting in front of the classroom with very short skirts and they like, not before long, you hear rape, you hear this, you hear. So I think in that domain of discipline, when school management is looking, they should get mature men and women who are capable, because some of them, when they come, they instead want to have favors with the children. I don't know what for whatsoever reason. And when that happens, familiarity breeds contempt. When you become too familiar with somebody, the discipline department is not supposed to be familiar with students. It's not. So the school administration should handle that. And then at the level of the government should really come out with policies to see that this issue of drug abuse, I don't know, it's like our borders are porous. We don't know how these things get in. We really don't know how these
My
things
brother,
get
you are
in.
kind. No, this is not coming in the. Some of them are planting it in.
Some of them are being cooked here and given to these students. So we should come out with very stringent measures. I admire there's a commissariat specialized for that.
A police station.
A police station. I think it's at Wada here that handles those issues in schools.
Yeah.
It should not only be in Yaoundé. It should be everywhere and even in almost all the quarters in the country to handle such cases.
Thank you very much, Achangvi Roosevelt, for your deliberation. I'll come to you. Your last word, Barrister Lekelefaka Michael. What do you think the parents, the government, and the students ought to do to overcome such attitude within school milieu and even at home?
Yes, Mr. Enchi, the solution is clear. First thing, the school milieu today is a victim. First, I say the victim of what we are living in a society, because in the school, they are simply, it's just like because of the laissez-faire which is there, which has given them the leeway to do it in school. This behavior are not learned in school, because when we say in school, it seems as if that is what is learned in school. So the milieu, the school milieu is just a victim of the decadence which in our society. So
they take it from home to school. That's what you're telling us.
It's in school.
Or is it within the transition period?
In school, it is just that, like you live with you are looking for a place where you have the liberty to carry out. And the school milieu is just simply, it is just because it maybe they come across the same people that they are excited to do that. So talking about drug, like Mr. Roosevelt was talking, I think we should look back into saying that we take stringent measures to control the circulation of these things in our society. The age to have access to all these things, we need to regulate. We need to regulate them and draw the attentions of parents to be responsible. We need to build the synergy that with the church, which is the moral institution today, to see how the church, the state, and the parents, the teachers, when they talk about the state, the teachers will form part of the state. How this synergy can come together to identify these problems, to set a pace, and to follow up in the evolution of the implementation of the policies defined to resolve this problem. Without this, we shall be beaten around the bush every day.
Thank you very much.
I call the attention of the traditional rulers that we have today, because in every quarter, we have different respective quarters that we have traditional rulers there. The traditional rulers should make sure that they can identify all sales points, irregular sales points, and they work the security. Though the security today is what we have, because you can even denounce and you become the victim.
Thank you very much, Barrister Lekele Faka. Mike, a few words before the end of the program, Dr. Moise Bok, a solution.
I watched a movie and Al Pacino was saying that even dealers must have values. Because they bought a rapist that was a minor, and he was saying that they must kill him. Because even dealers, even in the mafia, we must have values. And I want to talk to our dealers, those who are selling these drugs and so on. Let them have values. They have boîte de nuit and so on. Let them sell this nonsense there. They should allow our schools. They should allow our schools.
Solution to avoid this within every milieu.
First thing, these dealers must have moral. The second thing, in South Korea, the highest civil servants that are well paid, they are teachers. We have to see their situations in Cameroon, because teachers need to be involved in what they're doing. But with all the problems they are having, they're taking care of our kids. We have to take care of them. So let's solve their OTS, this thing, their problems, and make sure their salaries can, if they can increase something, is fine. The last thing is the vision. Let's build a country where youths have a dream. They know we are going somewhere. This country can be the best in agriculture, can be the best in different things. Let's get into industrialization, and then from there, sell the dreams to them that they are going to school for a purpose, to make Cameroon great. Not again, but great at least.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to try to what the doctor has said, you see that even today as a policy, there is the highest employment that youths are embarked on today is gambling.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Barrister Lekele Fak Michael. Thank you very much, televiewers of Info Television. Thank you, Dr. Moise Mbok, for your presence. Thank you, Barrister, for your presence. Thank you, Changvi Roosevelt, for your presence. Cameroonians are appreciating all of you, your declarations and your contributions here. Thank you very much for being there with us. I just want to remind you that this program, of course, will be rebroadcast on Saturday at 4 p.m. So you had not the opportunity to watch. That will be, of course, another opportunity for you to watch it live and direct, but it's going to be a rebroadcast. From us, we say good night, because we'll be coming back again to you next week when it is Tuesday, as from 9 p.m. right up to 10:30 p.m. Programs continue on Info TV. Keep watching, because the TV won't fail you. Good night and have a blessed day.